All right, folks, this is session 2. This is about section 504. On this one, I'll just cover over what section 504 is, a brief overview of it, what it actually is about, because there's a lot of misconceptions about section 504. So section 504 is from the Rehabilitation Act, and it's under the American Disabilities Act, and it came about right around when civil rights law was very prevalent in the U.S. in the 50s, 60s, 70s. A lot of people with disabilities were lumped in with some of those racial equality acts and things like that. So Section 504 is meant to offer protections for people with disabilities to make sure that they have two things. And these are the two things in Section 504 that I don't think are harped on enough. So these two are very important. These are foundations. Equal access, so equal access, and discrimination, so anti-discrimination. So making sure we're not discriminated against because of our disability. An example of this would be, not that this was hope to God would never occur, but so say a person has a missing limb, right? And they do not have a prosthetic limb, so they just are using crutches and whatnot, and their PE standards are you run a mile or whatever it is, and that person's like obviously can't run a mile, right? So then that person would fail a class because they couldn't run the mile. That's discrimination, right? Section 504 protects that person and ensures that they have equal access and they have protections against discrimination. It's something that the person cannot change, and that limits them in some way, which kind of gets me to Section 504 eligibility a little bit. So it has to be, this disability or diagnosis has to be limiting one or more major life activities: thinking, breathing, interacting with others, working, a host of other things. So breathing, and so it has to be limiting one of those, and has to be affecting and substantially limiting one of those major life activities. So there's Section 504 eligibility, which any person with a disability really is protected under Section 504. The second part to it is where I hear a lot of parents harp on, what about the plan, the Section 504 plan, the accommodation plan? I want my kid to have accommodations. And without getting too much into the weeds, but really, you have to think in terms of, does the student's disability, is it limiting them in some way? And are they getting access to the curriculum or access to school the same way as other students? And do we need to make sure that they're not discriminated against? So those are really important things, and the accommodations kind of surround that. The accommodations are, how do we promote the equal access and promote anti-discrimination? And so when you think in terms of that, it'll help you think about, okay, what does my child actually need, and what do they require to make sure that they have equal access and they're not discriminated against. So very important things to remember. Also, I don't know if I remembered, but it is actually governed by the Office of Civil Rights. So if these 504 accommodation plans aren't being followed, it technically is a civil rights violation. Did not say that. So again, Section 504, very important to my work. IDA and Section 504 are different in the sense of, IDA would be that person has a disability, they meet the criteria for having a disability identified under IDEA, and they require specialized academic instruction in order to get FAPE, which I'll talk about in the next video, and that's important for both Section 504 and IDA, and also any student with a disability. FAPE is a huge concept you should know. Thanks.